Last week was no time to be out on the water in the state of Texas. This week, things are drying up. So whether you like to fish freshwater or salt, it looks like it's going to be a great weekend for fishing. So hook up the boat, get the rods ready, because it's time to go fishing here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us back for another week on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Rick, the end of September is just around the corner, and I cannot believe how fast our season has gone by. But we'll still be fishing until we're back on the air in April, and you can catch it all on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. Right, Captain Rick Murphy?
You're absolutely right, Brie. You know, it's time to go hunting.
Yes.
It's time to do a little,
Football.
Seasonal Thanksgiving, and we got Christmas, and I don't like to have to
Halloween, New
compete for
Year's.
all that. So
Right.
you know what? We're going to take a little vacation ourselves.
Yep, and we'll be back on the air in April.
26 consecutive weeks we've been here.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
right.
it's been a good season. We've got great captains, great reports, and we still have a great Dave or Mr. Magoo over at the CCA workbench holding strong. Right, Dave?
I've got that sticking now, huh?
Yep.
Is that what that is? Okay, all right. October is a good time for me to go to Australia.
Are you going?
Ooh,
I don't know.
buddy.
We'll see.
Oh,
October or November.
We're going. Let's
Trying
be
to go.
positive.
It's where
All
the
right.
black marlin come in there.
come on, let's go.
Aussie, here we come. All right, we're starting today off with our Middle Coast region captain, Bink Grimes, where the dog days are still hanging on strong, but the catching is even stronger. Tell us about it, Bink.
It is. It's the end of September, and we're still waiting on summer to disappear. Our trout continue to be in a summer pattern, but there's a lot more real estate to cover right now. Our tides are running about 2 to 3 feet above normal. We're in that autumn equinox tides right now, so I mean there's just a lot of water to cover. There in West Bay, we've had limits of trout over shell while waiting. Those tides, like I said, got those fish right against the grass and right on top of the reefs. Instead of normally when you're on normal tides, you fish those edges of the reefs, but when that water's so high, a lot of those fish are sitting right on top of those reefs right now. Places like Tres Palacios Bay, Coon Island have paid off with with these higher tides. This year has been a boon for East Bay, for big trout. A lot of fresh water balances the brine for us. It keeps the food chain all the way down from our crabs to our shad. Everything's thriving, our shrimp, and when that happens, our big trout thrive. It's been wet now for the past 5 years, and we received about 12 inches of rain over the past 3 weeks. And then last week, we got 10 inches just in Matagorda, another 21 inches in nearby Sargent, and Tropical Storm Melda really dumped a lot of fresh water on us. It kind of hindered things for a while, but it for the whole impact of the estuary, it does wonders for us. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. We know it's going to be good. At Sargent, a lot of that fresh water is coming out of those creeks in Sargent, and a lot of those trout in the back of them are coming out in the intercoastal. Birds are starting to work in front of those drains and cuts leading to the creeks. Then the jetties along the middle coast have been good for trout on live shrimp and live shad. Some are wading the backside of the jetties on calm days. So many people forget about the surf this time of year, but those fish are still out there, and there's a lot of calm days in September and also in October. There's still big trout to be caught out there. Then in Rockport, those high tides have pushed a lot of fish around super flats and on the St. Joe Island, on topwater sheep pups, top pups, anything with mirror lure with those big red eyes. The photo there, Ronnie Bird of Sweeney, he caught that big fish last week in East Matagorda Bay while drifting. I tell you, all these big tides with redfish, there are so many redfish right now in Matagorda. Guys, Brett Sweeney and Keith Phillips said they've been finding those redfish in West Bay while fishing with mullet. Those fish are starting to school right tight on the shoreline, and it's only going to get better as the thermometer drops. Higher tides have pushed those fish in Rockport along the Estes Flats, nearby East Flats and Port Aransas. Pelican Island and Port Aransas has been good on gulps and, imitation shrimp. Those tides are 2 to 3 foot above normal. A lot of those fish are coming out of those drains as well. They're down by Sargent and Matagorda. They're coming out around the Chinkapin Reefs. You can sit on them and throw any kind of plastic in there, Little Johns, Bass Assassins, and they're eating a bunch of them right now. Bull redfish have been found. Man, there's a lot of bull redfish in the Surfside jetty and the Port O'Connor jetty. A lot of them in the 40 to 45-inch class. Surfside, Freeport, Matagorda jetty, same thing. Cracked blue crabs, mullet, fresh table shrimp. A lot of big reds drifting right there at Bird Island in Port O'Connor as well. Offshore, our tarpon, man, our Silver Kings are showing up in the Gulf from Sargent to Port O'Connor. There's been bee schools in about 30 foot of water. Those fish they'll hang around here till October, but a lot of people forget about them. We get to hunting, and and people start the fishing so good in the bays. People forget about that offshore gig and chasing Silver Kings, but they're there. Best bites have come on shad, a lot of finger mullet. Those lure chunkers have tossed. They've tossed coon pops on circle hooks out there and connected with them. Guide Michael Quebeca said he's found large schools near Matagorda. He's been throwing jigs in the middle of those large schools and then trolling Menhaden around the jetty. The Port O'Connor and Port Aransas jetty consistently holds numbers of big old poons this time of year. Port Aransas was so popular back in the 1930s. That town was Port Aransas was actually called Tarpon. President Franklin D. Roosevelt used to go down there and try to catch those big ones. And they said, reports that he had, tarpon up to 5 pounds back then. But it's still a hot spot. And, I enjoyed this year. Let's do it again next year. Be back in April.
All right, we'll be back. Thank you again, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the CCA Texas hotspots for the Middle Coast region one more time this season. Trout are good on the super flats in Rockport or Port Aransas on Mirror She Dogs and She Pups. Redfish are good in the back lakes on small top waters and while drifting with shrimp under a quart, Brie.
All right, Rick. Well, the Star Charm Middle Fresh region definitely had their share of rain, so let's talk with Matt Losher and see how that's affecting the bite. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Brie. Yeah, so, we had to sit around for a few days with the tropical storm. The rain kind of put a damper on things. We had a lot of PRASEK'S jerky and got fat and happy. But, it all worked out good. Things have stabilized now. We're kind of getting back to normal slowly but surely. And the rainy weather it hasn't stopped the bass from doing their thing, especially down on Lake LBJ. Jared Poole reports that the bass down there they've really begun to change their pattern. And he tells me that the fish have started to move up shallow. They're biting a jig under docks really well. He says that the bait fish are starting to move toward the backs of the creeks right now, and the bass are right behind them. So the fall pattern is really starting to take place down there in the Austin area. And then on Lake Buchanan, Jared says that a big worm on the flats is starting to produce some big fish as well. They're moving a little shallower, getting off of that deeper timber, getting up on the flats. Over at Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman, he's talking about kind of a similar deal. He says the fall looks very promising up there. He said that he's finding a lot more fish shallow recently, due to the rains and such. So look for the bass to be feeding aggressively up in the shallow areas. I've got a photo here for you real quick of a nice Richland Chambers bass Mr. Thurman contributed this week. Catching some good ones over there. He's excited about the fall. It's happening good for him. Up at Sam Rayburn, frog bites picked up a little bit. All that rain, dumped in the lake, all that fresh water, had those fish up there feeding in the grass. So, a little bit of rising water gets that frog bite going, and, into the fall, that frog bite should just get better and better. So keep an eye on that. Every day that we get, closer to those cooler nights, the fall frog bite should get really, really good. On Toledo Bend, we didn't get quite as much rain, but it was enough to change things up a bit. Several days of that cloud cover, along with the wind and the water coming in, did scatter out the fish a bit, but they're still feeding shallow on the shad. Shallow diving crankbaits, chartreuse colors have been real good. We've got some dirtier water right now. Chartreuse blackback crankbaits have been good. It's shaping up to be one of the best falls we've seen in a long time, though, here on Toledo Bend, because we've got low water levels. We haven't seen that in a long time. So give us a call at Living the Dream. We'll get you on some good fish for the fall. It's going to be a great fall season. We're really excited about that. Bouncing over from bass over to talk about white bass and stripers for a minute. Jared Poole down there in that Austin area also mentioned that the white bass and the stripers are really destroying the topwater baits on Lake Buchanan. But it's an early morning and a late evening thing, still kind of that summer pattern. So, be out there early and real late in the evening. take advantage of that. That's about as much fun as you can have on a topwater bait catching stripers. So if you're in that area, you need to definitely go check that out. Lastly, I'm going to touch on the crappie. They've been scattered a bit. You know, all that rain, same kind of deal as the bass. We're seeing that fall pattern start to take place. We're catching some bigger slabs, you know, but throughout the week, every day that, you know, we get more of this stable weather, things are getting better and better. The numbers are getting better and better. And, you know, as we go into the fall, it's going to keep getting better. So just continue to look for them on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn around the timber in about 12 to 25 feet of water. This time of year, the jig bite gets better and better every day. So we're becoming less reliant on the live bait every day. It's a perfect time right now to put the Panfish Assassin Pro Tiny Shads to work, catching those big slabs. They're more aggressive. Monkey milk with a chartreuse tail is always my go-to color for that. It works great in almost any conditions. But as the water gets dirtier, I'm going to look more and more to electric chicken this fall to really wear out those big ones. We got a photo here for you on the crappie. Man named Tim that fished with me last week. Real nice big slab he's got there.
Boy, that place looks that place looks familiar with all them stumps.
Yeah, it looks kind of similar to some stuff we fished, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's going to be real good in that stuff this fall with that low water. I'm really excited about it.
All right.
I'm sad to see the season end, but it's going to be good. Thanks to everybody for watching. Y'all keep in touch with us this fall.
All right, dude, you did a great job. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region. He says largemouth bass are moving shallow throughout the Middle Fresh region. Jigs, crankbaits, and frogs are all productive for some great catches. And then white bass stripers are feeding on topwater baits on Lake Buchanan. Crappie are getting fired up on jigs around the timber and 12 to 25 feet on Sam Rayburn and on Toledo Bend.
All right, the YETI Upper Fresh region has some showing off to do next, but let's see what Dave's showing off for rigs and techniques at the CCA workbench.
We're going to be talking about what kind of rods and reels to get for fishing offshore. And that's a question we get asked a lot. What size should I get? We're going to try to answer some of those questions.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Looking pretty. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Garmin, join the club. Sportsman's Adventures, fishing for adventure. And CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
If you're not a member of Coastal Conservation Association, you need to be. CCA fights on a national and state level for our fishing rights so that our children and grandchildren will have fish to catch today and in the future. CCA, through their habitat programs, create oyster and artificial reefs, as well as many other habitat programs. CCA also each year releases millions of trout, redfish, and flounder, so join myself, Brie, and Dave and become a member of CCA now. Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and Dave, you know, this is your wheelhouse right here. Big rods.
Well, you know,
big fish.
I've hung around a little bit of them, but I get asked that when I was working at the Marlin University. That was one of the big questions that I was asked a lot. Well, you know, I'm going to go buy some rods and reels. You know, what size should I get? And there's really a whole lot of factors in it. But one of the main things that most people do wrong is they get stuff that's too big. They think they have to go offshore and they have to have all this big stuff, you know, because they're going to be catching all these big fish. And you really don't need a whole lot of big gear to catch pretty big fish. You just need quality stuff. And so, you know, first off, most people start, you know, at first question I ask them is, you know, are you going to be fishing in deep water, you know, mostly line capacity things. You know, how much line do you think you're going to need? Well, you know, I want to be doing some blue marlin fishing and I want to catch some dolphins. So you're going to be fishing in 400 feet of water, you know, 200 feet on out. You know, you want to have a decent amount of line. But you don't need, if you're in a boat that works, you don't need a reel that holds 1,600 yards of line, because you should never let any fish get over 200, 300 yards away tops, which is 600 feet. That's really as far as you really need to go, unless you're, you know, deep dropping and you're fishing at 1,200 feet already on the bottom. You know, you might need a big 50 wide or something that'll hold a whole lot of line. And when you start getting those bigger reels that hold a lot of line, another good thing about those big reels that hold a lot of line is that they can pick up a lot of line in one crank. Right. And when you're fishing in really deep water for swordfish or something, you're going to need a 50 with braid on it or an 80 with braid on it. Right. Now, a lot of guys will use an 80, but it's a big reel and it's a heavy reel. And they don't use especially when you're sword fishing, a lot of guys don't use a whole lot of drag. So my pet peeve is I'm fighting a swordfish. If I'm one of those guys who want to stand up and fight it, you know, I'm fishing with an 80 wide. I'm fighting the 80 wide as much as I'm fighting the fish. Right. When I could definitely be using a 50 wide if I'm only going to be using 20 pounds of drag or less, or 8 pounds of drag or 6 pounds of drag, whatever those swordfish guys are using, because they think they're going to pull the hook from their soft mouths. You're 100%
right. You know, I didn't like the 80 because it was so big. And so as you see, Dave, you see the sticker on the bottom, that's telling me that I have 80-pound mono, top shotted over 80-pound braid underneath. Right. So, you know, I've got, I don't know, the half of the rod or half of the reel has braid. Right. Well, the braid thing blows the line capacity to all of them to pieces anyway, because you can put on a 20-pound test line, I mean, 20-pound reel like that one, you know, you can put a ton of braid. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is drag. And, you know, I ask people how much drag they're going to be using. They come up with a lot of ridiculous things. I'm going to be using 30 pounds of drag. I want, you know, if I'm maybe using 30-pound gear, I want to use 30 pounds of drag. Well, that's not the way it works. You know, I got this bucket, you know, so it's like it's not even a 5-gallon bucket. It's a 2.5-gallon bucket, and it's full, and it's almost full. So I weighed it with my Boga grip. It weighs like 25 pounds. Right. And Rick is going to lift that 25 pounds with this. Pull it out there first. He's gonna try to lift this off the ground. We're just gonna show you what it takes. But look, if I gotta go up to full. Yeah, in order to make it work. Correct. You gotta go all the way up. Look at how much I gotta bend, and I have my back locked. Okay, that's 25 pounds of drag right there. And that's an 80-pound rod. Right. How long are you 20-pound reel? How long are your buddies who are out there drinking beer in the hot sun all day gonna be able to hold that amount of drag? Standing up. It's hurting me. It's not going to happen. So what you're going to need, you're going to have to worry about, okay, I'm not going to need a reel that'll hold 30 pounds of drag unless I'm fishing for great big marlins and I'm fishing out of a chair or some kind of wild harness that will allow me to hold that amount of drag that this reel will let me use. Right. You know, once you're just overkill when you're using a great big reel and you're only pulling 10 pounds of drag with it, or you're never going above strike on your 50, you know, with 50-pound line. And you got 18 pounds of drag. Correct. Right. It's just, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. So I always tell people, try to get one with a high rate of retrieve, made out of a good material that doesn't flex. You know, try to get one that matches the size and the weight pretty much of the fish you're trying to catch. You know, you don't need, you know, 50 wides to go out and catch kingfish all day. You know, I have 150 wide on my boat
I have 20s and 30s and I've caught a lot of blue marlins on 30s. You know, most blue marlins nowadays are caught with guys pitching 30s. You know, they're 200 to 300 pound blue marlins, and they're caught all day on rods and reels this big.
Right.
And when, for some reason, you know, they've been reading all those Zane Grey, guys been reading Zane Grey novels and Hemingway novels, they think that if I have to catch a blue marlin, I have to sit in a chair with a giant rod and reel, and it has to take 4 hours. It's not the case, not the case. You can just go small and get around a lot of the pain.
Well, I wish we had more time over here every week. We've done a
know.
great job this season, Dave. Thank you so much.
And Dave, your passion is just awesome. I can feel it from here. I love it. All right, we are all saddened by the devastation and destruction in the Bahamas from Hurricane Dorian. And in order to rebuild and restore, the Bahamas needs funding. So as part of the One Coast movement, Costa has worked with the IGFA to create a funding mechanism with the Worldwide Anglers Relief Fund to make disbursements. If you feel compelled to join the movement, here are the steps to follow. First, purchase a One Coast shirt at costadelmar.com, where all the proceeds will be split by the Wharf Fund and Red Cross. Second, help share the word by spreading the message and using the hashtag OneCoast. And third, care by donating directly to the Red Cross or Wharf Fund at onecoast.net. Let's all help rebuild, restore, and repair the Bahamas together. Okay, Lake Texoma and Fork are on our minds this weekend in the Yeti Upper Fresh region, so let's get Johnny Geis on the line to get our heads in the fish catching game. Let's go, Johnny.
Hello, Rick and Bree.
Hello.
Hey, before I get into my report, I want to thank our viewers and our sponsors for another great season of Texas Insider Fishing Report, and I especially want to thank my guides and friends who've helped me provide this up-to-date fishing information. And for those viewers that called in and booked a trip with me this year and I've heard from them, thanks for that. I hope we've helped everyone catch some big fish and provided some good tips and locations to find those big ones. And I'm closing out this season. Another great report from old Captain Bill Carey with the Striper Express Guide Service up on Lake Texoma. Captain Bill and son Chris, they're always on the big stripers, and they specialize in using topwaters and artificial lures to catch the bigger Lake Texoma stripers. Bill and Chris Carey of Striper Express report this week's topwater action has been nothing short of spectacular. The tropical depression of Melda had sent some cloud cover in, a little bit of rain. It gave the fish a break from the heat. And, man, this has made some exciting topwater action. Early mornings, the Striper Express guys are casting the big plugs, topwater plugs up on the shallow banks for the big stripers up to 10 pounds. And these big stripers, they're blowing up all around the islands and the sandbars right now, and everyone in the boat's getting in on the action. Large schools of the 2 to 5 pounders are surfacing out on the main lake in some big open water areas. Calm days, they're easy to locate, but they're easily spooked, and on windy days, fishing is just a little better out there. Whichever school you're fishing in, go in slow when you approach the school. The bait's been extra spooky recently. Just go in on your trolling motor and not spook this school with your outboard. The water temps are in the low 80s. Stripers are still in their September patterns. Fast and furious action starts out at first light and it's over by 10 o'clock or so. So it's best time right now of the year to plan your fall fishing trip up on Texoma. The nights are getting cooler and it won't be long for autumn arrives up there and the fish are everywhere. Whether you need a fishing report or just want to book a trip, feel free to call the Striper Express team. Captain Bill wanted me to pass along a word of thanks to another great season of Texas Insider Fish Report on Fox Sports Southwest. Rick, Captain Bill wanted me to send a big thank you to you, Bree, and Dave, and also thanks to all the fans of the show that watch every week. Well, last but not least, here's a picture of old Captain Chris Carey himself with a big old striper he caught last week, and he loves to make a big face with them, doesn't he? It's fun times on Lake.
Man, I love it.
That's a big fish catching face right there.
Hey, on Lake Fork bass, man, it's been a tough summer bite. I have to say that it's really been tough lately, but all that's changing now with the shorter days and cooler water temperatures. Fork's right at a foot low, and the lake's in great shape for the fall season. Bob Seeley's the Big Bass Splash Tournament was held this last weekend, and man, did they catch some big bass. There were 18 bass weighed in over the 24-inch slot, and the largest bass weighed 10.61 pounds. Angler Blake Hardy caught the largest bass of the tournament and won a truck, boat, and cash. Here's a picture of Blake on the scales with his winning bass, and he's a happy camper on Lake Fork. So altogether, they had over 2,300 anglers on this event, and it was a little bit crowded here on Lake Fork, but everyone seemed to enjoy the tournament. Bass were caught in all type of lures, the drop shot rigs, the Carolina rigs, and green pumpkin were great, and crankbaits caught a lot of fish shallow. They were the most effective lures to use. As the water temperature starts to drop a little bit, we'll see more fish moving back in the creeks and starting to feed heavily on the shad. So watch for that schooling activity in the late afternoons, and the topwater baits will be the best lures to try in those situations. Hard to believe that this is our last Texas Insider Fishing Report, but hopefully our viewers will get to do a lot of fishing this fall and winter and catch some big ones. Thanks, Captain Rick and Bree and Dave and the rest of our Texas Insider Fishing Report team for their great support and for being the best fishing show in Texas.
Well, thank you so much, Johnny. You did a great job this year, and it's only our last show for this year, but we'll be right back in April. But more importantly, everybody can go to the YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, and watch all the stuff that we're doing.
We're doing a lot.
And feel free to send us some stuff.
Have y'all up fishing this next spring.
Yes,
we need to come, man, for sure.
We are. That was the best sign-off message.
That's right.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you,
We've enjoyed having you.
We'll take a look at Johnny's hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. He says Lake Texoma, the big stripers are hitting top waters early and some on swim baits and slabs later in the day. And then Lake Fork, big bass starting to move shallow for fall feeding period. Texas rig plastics and drop shots working best in green pumpkin.
It's not goodbye forever. It's just goodbye for now.
Just goodbye for a few days.
All right, guys, your perfect fall adventure awaits. So why don't you head to fabulous Cabo San Lucas to fish in the 21st annual Los Cabos Billfish Tournament, October 13th through the 17th. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico hosts some of the most prestigious and richest billfish tournaments in the world, and the Los Cabos Billfish kicks off the tournament season with a $750,000 purse up for grabs. Anglers and crews get to fish in a spectacular setting where the harsh desert meets the marlin-rich waters of the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez. This three-day tourney awards a wide variety of prizes and many ways to win, including tuna, dolphin, and wahoo categories. So you don't have to be a master bill fisherman to take home a bit of cash. You still have plenty of time to sign up and secure your spot and a good boat from the affordable Los Cabos fleet. If you want to fish in the most incredible fishing destinations on Earth and have a chance to win some money in the process, visit LosCabosTournaments.com and reserve your spot today. Yes, Rick, you're happy about it.
I'm giggling because Dave
background.
was taking out his bucket of water from our demonstration, and he was pretending he was getting ready to throw it on the stage manager. No, he shouldn't have. He would ruin the cameras. And then
no, it would have been fine.
He'd be working for free.
If you're fishing the Fish Bites Upper Coast and Garmin Lower Coast regions this weekend, stay tuned. We're coming to you next. But before we go, like Rick said, we want to remind you can keep up with us while we're off the air and catch new videos, rigs and techniques, behind the scenes, new fishing and hunting adventures every week on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to tune in, and we'll be right back.
All right.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And PRASEK'S Smokehouse, a link above.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Today's power pole tip of the week is about, does the power pole add a lot of weight to the transom of the boat? And simply, guys, it doesn't. Now we're talking about a bracket that weighs anywhere between 5 and 7 pounds, and depending on the model that you get, our micro is 7 with the blade, 10-foot blade, being 27 pounds. So simply, we're not going to add a lot of weight. You're not going to change the draft of the boat. You're not going to have to re-prop your boat. And more importantly, the pumps have been mounted in the floor so that they're out of the way and not on the transom. So many times when we add weight to the boat, it affects the performance, and that's not going to happen by adding 2 power poles. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you can either go online to powerpole.com or you can go down to your local dealer. And that's today's power pole tip of the week. We're gonna have all new power pole tips for next year, Brie.
Oh, can't wait for those.
I know, man. We got a lot of new things. Charge, all kinds of little secrets. I can't tell anymore.
Secrets are fun when they come from this one. All right, the Fish Bites Upper Coast region is looking like a fun time on the water this weekend. So let's get Captain Carl Weston on the line for all the feel goods. Hey, Carl.
Hey, everyone. How you doing?
Well. How you doing, Carl?
I made it through another week of lovely weather.
Atta boy. I'm glad to hear that. So why don't you tell me what's happening in the Upper Coast region?
Well, let's talk about redfish. And as I reported last week, the open water schools of redfish are heating up in Galveston Bay near the western shoreline. You're going to see these fish blowing up on pogies and ribbon fish. And keep a good lookout for slicks. Try to get up in front of the schools right now. Throw about a 1-ounce jig head with a paddle tail swim bait on it or a large gold spoon. Now, most of these fish that we're catching right now are a little oversized, but they're still a whole lot of fun to catch and release. And we do have a picture here with a slot red with Miss Dickie.
Oh, yeah. All right. What else you got for us this week?
Well, trout. We're still catching good trout on the oyster reefs in Galveston Bay, also all along the ship channel. Also fishing along the jetties as well on the outgoing tide. The beachfront has heated up a little bit on calm days. You know, when the ocean is clear and you can see the schools real well, look out for these fish blowing up on bait. Look for the birds and the slicks. We've been throwing a 1/4 to a 3/8 ounce jig head, like a provoker or a bass assassin soft plastic, and it's really been doing the trick. We've been catching some nice stringers of trout.
All right, what you got for us offshore? Let's head off.
Well, going offshore, the ling bite is still pretty good. Moving from the inshore channel markers to the offshore oil platforms and underwater structure. You know, most of our weed lines by this time of the year are gone, but the shrimp boats are still here, and we're still, harvesting plenty behind the boats, including ling, king, some scattered blackfin tuna. That's what we've been catching for the last few weeks. And as usual, we've been getting up close to the shrimp boats, start chumming, drift off a little bit. You'll pull the fish off the boat a little bit, get them up close, and the bite is on. And when you're trying for blackfin, give it a little more time because these fish are usually a little deeper in the water column. It takes a little bit longer to bring them to the boat, but once you do, the fun is on. And here we got a picture today of Natasha and I with what we called our beer can ling.
Oh, all right, I got it.
Nice.
What else you got? One more to go.
Well, African pompano is a fish we don't talk a whole lot about around here. We have them from time to time in a few little secret spots, but they're always fun to catch. You know, this is a species of fish we don't even see very often in the Upper Coast. We happen to have a few spots offshore that produce these all summer. Usually it's large underwater structure is where you want to look for these fish, and they can be found from the bottom of the water column all the way about halfway, midway. We use cut bait for these guys, and these fish make excellent table fare and put up a great fight. And we have a picture today of, once again, Miss Nikki with a nice pompano.
All right, I got a couple questions for you, man. So what are you planning on doing on the off season?
Well, a lot of work on the boats as usual, and then we go into hunting mode. So do a little hunting, but fishing-wise, we'll roll into Wahoo, in the wintertime. Probably do some overnight trips. The yellowfin bite picks up in the winter. It's just we'll dodge the storms and the bad weather. But fishing-wise, tuna and wahoo becomes our target through the winter.
All right, sounds good. Well, you make sure you tell Natasha and Nikki that we said hello from the crew of Sportsman's Adventures, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Mirror Lure hotspots from the Upper Coast region. He says large schools of open water redfish in Galveston Bay, and we've been throwing a 1-ounce jig head with a soft plastic swim bait, and then offshore. We have been seeing lots of action with the ling behind the shrimp boats, drifting a dead cigar minnow on a 6-0 hook with a 2-foot fluorocarbon leader.
You left me out of that trip.
What?
I need to fish with Carl too.
What?
You're leaving me out of everything, man.
Man, listen, Carl's got enough girls fishing with him. It's looking like he's got them all signed up all over the place.
No,
he
Brie.
he don't have no Brie.
Okay, anyway.
He can't take
We're
no
popping on into the
He can't
Garmin Lower
have no
Coast region and seeing how the offshore and inshore fishing action is looking. Chad, please talk to us. Tell us what it's looking like.
Tell you what, got good reports from all over. The tides are still up and stuff like that, but they'll be subsiding, and fishing's going to get even better. And October's a great month, so keep on going out there hitting this fall stuff when it gets hot. The trout fishing's really good around Baffin Bay in the land cut. Also the deeper breaks farther south here to my Port Mansfield, up on the east side there. You head around Dubs and all that east stuff like that in the 3 to 5 foot of water. Those fish are still holding out there. Like I said, the tides are remaining higher, so those fish seem to be still holding that 3 to 5 foot of water. If you guys are drifting, it's working really good. Going through that stuff, if you're white fishing, it kind of gets a little deep on there, so you got to get a little bit shallower up in the grass to try to work for them. Work the sand pockets and grass beds on this stuff. Like I said, bite's been a little bit slower also on the retrieve. I've been finding out it's almost like a winter bite. So if you're on a hard sand on a drop-off or something like that, going towards the ICW, you throw a saltwater assassin, the shad, and it's working really well, but you got to bounce it off almost as slow as a flounder bite, and they're thumping it, and we just did that this morning too and had a lot better results doing that. There's also been a lot of surface grass, but if you find some clear areas when the current's not as bad, then go ahead and throw a mirror lure or mirror mullet. This thing's been working really good on reds and the trouts, also working on that stuff. Works really good. But just make sure, look for some bait flipping also and stuff like that. Like I said, on those trout, if you're looking for that, try to hit the edges, deeper ICWs, and deeper grass beds, which if it's normally 3 to 4 foot, you got about a foot higher tide right now. Moving over to the redfish action is really starting to pick up. I talked to Doug Stanford, Pirates of the Bay, up there in Port Aransas, and he said it's been really good on live shrimp, free line, under the popping cork, around Lighthouse Lakes. Also plenty of undersized keepers also all around that whole area like that. If you're looking for bull reds, go ahead and try the Port Aransas jetties, live shrimp, and finger mullet working really good. The jetties here also in Mansfield, the same thing. Main thing on this, guys, is keep an eye on the weather. Even though the winds are starting to be calm and stuff like that, we've got a few little tropical disturbances, and it's pushing up some higher tides and currents in there, so you got to watch that for the surf and stuff like that. Make sure you're going to be good and get the fish bite ready to go. Also in Baffin Bay, there's been some really good redfish. Also up there on mullet and shrimp also along that ICW. And then farther south here in Mansfield, we've been producing a lot more red showing up in the flats. This is due to less boat traffic and the fish coming in from the Gulf there and everything else. They're coming hitting the first flats there and then falling out as the day goes through there. So I probably start on about calf deep water to knee deep. Try gold spoon or saltwater assassin sea shad with a real quick retrieve. And as later the day goes on, follow that bait and follow those fish. You might start on calf deep, knee deep. About 10:30 in the morning, you can be mid-tide and mid-waist, and you have a lot better luck if that's what you're going to be looking for weight fishing, especially if you're coming in October. So got a photo here of a redfish. Got 2 young kids here. Good little picture, but you can see one's holding the fish, the other one's with the phone, so the other one needs to put the phone down and catch 2 fish.
That's right. Good catch there, Captain.
You can't catch one with the phone in your hand, fellas. So
that's right. You tell those
kids.
She
just wants a picture.
Yeah, she was. I don't know what she was doing over there. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
So when we're to offshore and stuff like that, just a reminder: state water snapper season is open year-round, so we're going to be open all winter long. Mansfield, we got some great stuff down here through the winter. I stay booked up solid in the winter. So you get remember it's 4 fish per person, 15-inch minimum. Like I said, the currents have been a lot stronger after these low storms and stuff like that, and the thunder showers we've been having. So take some heavier bank weights with you. I take them all the way up to 16 ounce. Once the currents subside and stuff like that and the water clears up, the currents will start calming down and everything else. I go to like a 1 to 3 ounce jig head or even free line some fresh dead bait. If the currents are higher, the best thing to do is anchor. And just a good rule of thumb in this, use 3 times a road, which, you know, if you're in 60 foot of water, guys, put out 180 foot a rope, know where you're at on that. Use your Garmin to help you know exactly what your distance is. These things are perfect for that. So when you set up in your anchor setting, you can be like 0 feet from your spot. Go if you're 60 foot of water, go about 120 feet past it, drop your anchor. That'll bring you back in with your depth and your way back to 180 foot, and you'll be right on top of your spot where you want to go. Also, when the currents get lighter and you don't anchor fish, you can go ahead and use your Garmin on that one and repeat your track. The current's going to change every day. So once you get that track along your structure and rocks, mark your fish where you're biting, where you're really hammering them. Once it settles down, just go ahead and keep on repeating it and then clear your tracks up afterwards. You can start again after the next trip. So heading out to the pelagics, it's going to be really good through here, through after the first and second front. So I'm thinking all the way through October is going to be really good. The water temperature's still good. They're up to 82, 83 degrees, stuff like that. Good billfish temps. Some of the stuff is looking really good. We got sailfish, white marlin, blue marlin, out around that 100 fathom curve, out deeper to Colt and Oasis Dome and stuff like that. I've been doing really well. Some islander lures rigged with ballyhoo on the riggers, and then the shotgun also using that if you don't put a bird or anything else, teaser in front of it. On the flat lines, we've been putting some mid-ranges or some chuggers on that. Main thing is, of course, keep an eye out for your rips or currents, and also utilize your Garmin on that and your water temps and stuff like that, so you can look for any upwellings and everything else like that. So, of course, practice catch and release on these billfish, but when you find some bait balls and stuff like that, hang around them, keep pulling it, and this time of year you might get a good midday, strike on a big blue and have some good stuff. We got a picture of a really good, nice sailfish release here off my boat, and we had a white up that day and also a blue.
Wow.
But and then we got one picture here. We got to see if we can put it up here and surprise Rick. We've got the future Bam Bam, the new member of the Murphy edition.
There's my man.
Oh
my God, that's the cutest little dog ever. Oh,
so
look at that
cute.
face. He even looks like me, Brie.
He does.
He's got that staring off into the distance, wondering what the Sam hell everybody's thinking.
He's been living a life. He's gonna go to a better one. He's been in the marina, on the boat, every boat. He's well-rounded.
He's well-rounded.
Make sure you send me those pictures, Chad, please. I got something to look forward to on my drive home.
No.
All right, buddy, we're going to go ahead and thank you. You did a great job this year. Can't wait to see you in Bam Bam pretty soon, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower coast region hotspots. Chad says, inshore, out of Corpus Christi and Port Aransas area, the redfish are good at Lighthouse and lakes. Trout fishing remains good in Baffin Bay and Landcut. And then offshore, water temperatures offshore still 82 degrees plus. So the billfish action is good around Colt and around the 100 fathom curve. The state water snapper has been productive as well.
Bam Bam, as in Bam Bam fishing.
Yeah, it's named after his boat.
Perfect. You're going to need a Pebbles.
Yep.
Next.
I know.
Okay. All right, Rick. Well, the 30th annual CCA Texas Star Tournament is over and winners are in the books. Star had a record year with over 51,000 anglers competing for over $1 million in prizes and scholarships. This year also marked another milestone in the world of Star. $6.5 million in scholarships have now been awarded to Texas youth. Wow. All of that for simply spending quality time out catching a fish. Don't miss out on next year's early bird drawing and get you and your family entered in the 2020 Star Tournament today at startournament.org. Gosh, I can't believe I'm saying 2020. We're going to be heading into 2020.
I know.
What is happening? Okay.
Bill Kennedy and Robbie, all those guys at CCA Texas, great job, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are always doing amazing
money.
things. All right, we have one more region to divide and conquer in the PRASEK'S Lower Fresh region, but hang tight because first we're looking at some new products at the CCA workbench with Dave Ferrell. He'll be modeling those.
I was going to try them on, but I decided that the shorts
They're more
or
like
anybody else weren't going to take it.
They're more of
just
like a
couldn't take it.
headband for you.
Yeah, I would say.
All right, we'll be back.
Bree, get those on quick.
No.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by YETI, built for the wild. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Building Conservation Trust. CCA's National Habitat Program. And StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO, Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Over 40 years ago, Mr. Prasek began smoking meat in a little Texas town called Hilgi, combining fresh, grade A ingredients to create a variety of legendary smoked meats. Today, Prasek's Smokehouse is a Texas tradition, and now Prasek's not only satisfies hunger in Texas, but across the country. Visit PRASEK'S.com and order everything from fresh meats to your choice of jerky. Prasek's meats are made by Prasek's, sold by Prasek's, and can be delivered in as little as a day. Prasek's Smokehouse, a link above.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench one more time, Dave. New products. I love.
We got,
I don't know how you're going to wear this.
Blue Water outfits me every Texas show, and now we've got some of the stuff for the ladies that I'm definitely not going to wear for you. But all the ladies stuff, they make the same, the same specifications for their boys stuff. These shorts and leggings are a lot of what we're going to talk about here. They have a 30 SPF sun rating. They have seamless, really good seams in here, flat seams, so that they don't chafe on you. And what's really good about them is they're 100%. You can't see through them. They're opaque. And the girls are really worried about that these days. They're wearing those yoga pants. They had a bunch of them that come out and you could see through them, which didn't bother me that much, but the girls didn't like it. So you can't see through these, which are a big deal. You can't see through them. And
That's so good.
These are the key. These are the keys.
These are key lime
Key
color.
limes. The flourish were the ones that you threw away there in the flourish.
Dave.
These are the C's leggings. I'm going to bring these home for my little girl if Brie will let me have them.
I had to push the eject button, brother.
These are really nice. These are the C's versions.
I love that they got
ultra soft, flat seams again. It's a nice tricot. They're made out of. Some of them are 82% poly and 16% spandex. And I love that. I think I've mentioned before. I love that poly spandex mix. All the headbands and stuff have the SPF 50 rating as well. The technical shirts, this is the Shell technical shirts with the long sleeve. This is SPF 50 again with the moisture wicking and the microbial stuff that kills you so you don't stink. All that stuff is on there as well. So Blue Water makes good stuff for the ladies and the men. They put this in the ladies' hat, and I love this hat. I'd wear this hat. It's almost exactly like the one I've got, but not quite. I don't know if it's a lady's hat. I'd wear it.
It doesn't matter what it
is.
is.
It's a unisex hat.
Unisex.
Yeah, I like them both actually. So this is the gray, and that's the Wahoo.
Unicycle and
correct. All right. Moving on from the lovely Blue Water stuff. Now we got some Chica sunglasses from Costa.
Which one are those?
These small. They're both called Chicas. It's a small female frame. Kind of is named for the Chica Lodge, one of my favorite places in the whole world to go fishing down in Isla Mirada. And those are the matte shade tortoises right there with the green mirror. They suggest that you get a neoprene retainer for these because the way the temples are. They have a nice small frame for the ladies.
I like it has
and
inside the temples.
Exactly, that's why they're a little wider, so you need that neoprene retainer.
And they also have the neoprene on the nose.
Correct, so they stick. And these are the nice rose tortoise ones. These are really
Rose
pretty with a
tortoise.
copper silver mirror.
Brie, you like these rose tortoise
They're
ones?
very nice looking.
I was going to ask if I can take them home.
Very nice looking.
Is it like the color
A
of
parting
the
gift.
wine that you like?
Yes, a parting gift would be great.
Rosé.
Yes.
I think they look good on me.
Yeah, they
I think
do,
they
actually.
could be unisex too.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway.
These are no unisex lures.
No, these are from Jaw Lures. These are some new lures from Jaw. They got two of them here. This is the Flash Witch, which is pretty much what I call a king. It was just something you slide down on top of your ballyhoos to catch kingfish or tunas or whatever. It's 40 4.5 inches long with a little glow head in there. And this is called the Bill Collector. It's a 12-inch chugger chasing a 7-inch skirt. It's got a Lucky Joe's double hook set in there, 10-aughts, mustads, and extra large bubble holes, big UV glow head. I like my stuff to have some UV on them. And really quick, before we go, I show these every once in a while when we're talking about a certain species or whatnot. And these are the no-brainer hooks, and what they are is a circle hook with a lead formed around the shank, and they're really idiot-proof. You put a live bait on one of these things, and all you got to do is reel and come tight. They make the colorful ones over there too, which are great for the surf, for pompanos and whatnot, anything. So anyway, New Concept Lures. Go to newconceptlures.com. He makes all kinds of these from all different sizes, from little 1/0s to all the way up to the 4.0s. So
good job, Bob.
Get those New Concept
somehow or another,
lures.
you made it through the.
I'm still recovering
ladies' attire.
over here, and I'm really gonna miss your explaining of ladies' clothing.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'm sure they're
It's
happy.
so great. All right, we've got some big uns coming out of the PRASEK'S Smokehouse Lower Fresh region, so let's hear from Matt Reed to see what fun Lake Falcon, LBJ, Travis, Fayette, Somerville, and Choke Canyon are producing. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Brie, how are you?
Oh, bittersweet, but okay, we'll be fine.
It'll all be good. All right, let's get this thing on the road. Let's talk about the largemouth bass in that little bitty lower freshwater region of mine. Going to start off at Falcon Lake. Bass have been biting pretty well. The water has come up a couple of feet in the last 2 weeks, and that's caused my fish to scatter a little bit. The groups are not as big as they have been, but they're still biting good. When the water's falling, it positions them and they'll group up in big groups. I'm catching 5 to 10 at a spot a lot of times now. You might catch 1 or 2 on others, but you need to concentrate in that 12 to 20 foot of water on the lower half of the lake. On the rock ledges, I'm catching them on a Carolina rig or a big crankbait. If you happen to be casting to a man-made brush pile out there, you need to use a big worm on a Texas rig. It comes through that brush better. Most days right now we're catching in the 30 fish range, and there's always a few big ones mixed in. Moving on over to the Austin area, LBJ's fishing well, catching a lot on a frog up shallow. Also catching some on plastics up in that real shallow water. They're up there chasing perch. Later in the day, get your Carolina rig or shaky head, move out deep on the points and ledges, and catch some big ones in that 3 to 6 pound range. Lake Travis, fishing pretty good early in the mornings. You want to use a small, soft plastic finesse worm or a creature bait up shallow. Later in the day, you're going to want to move out to those deeper breaks. Fayette County, with days getting a little shorter, the fish are starting to move shallow. There's catching quite a few fish on a wacky rig Cinco or lipless crankbait around the grass. Bait fish is the biggest key around that vegetation. Find the areas with a shad and you can load up. Still some fish deep there. They've had so much pressure on them, they're a little finicky, but if you can get them to fire up, you can catch quite a few out of that 15 to 20 foot range. Lake Somerville, the fish are biting well up shallow. They're around rock and brush. I'll get you a square bill crankbait or a spinnerbait. The best way to catch those, out on the main lake, look for the brush piles at 10 to 12 foot. Throw you a Texas rig worm through those brush piles, and a good chance to catch a big one. Over at Choke Canyon, water temperatures hadn't really dropped much at all. Still hot. The lake level's falling some. There's 2 patterns that are working well. The shallow water grass has been very good with the top water and spinnerbait. Also, a swim jig or square bill crankbait is catching those around that shallow grass. Later in the day, there's a deep bite out in that 15 to 20 foot of water. Texas rig and crankbaits on that outside grass line is getting that done. Catching numbers of bass. Mike Bates is, they're catching 30, 40 fish a day up to 7 pounds. So he says Choke Canyon fish are as healthy as he's seen them in a very long time. You got a picture there of a bass customer of mine caught at Falcon last week. I always love those big grins to go with those big fish.
Yeah, man, it looks good. All right, you got some white bass and hybrids for us, Bo?
I do. Lake Somerville, the white bass and hybrids are schooling all over the lower end of the lake on the main lake points. Look for surface activity. If you don't see them on top, get your electronics and idle around those points till you see the shad, and the whites will be related to those. When they're down, the best bait for them is a slab spoon. If they're on surface, you can catch them on top waters, just about anything you want to throw at them. Down at Falcon, the whites are schooling everywhere on the lower end of the lake. You don't have to look for the fish. You just look out across there for the seagulls like you would in the saltwater. I mean, they're diving in big flocks into those surface schooling fish. All you got to do is get you a shad imitation of any kind, and you can fill your live well up in a hurry. That picture there is not of a white bass, but it's what you need to be looking for. It's the birds all in a frantic state diving at the water.
Man, that looks fun. So I want to ask you a question. Brie and I want to come out there and bring Dave, the whole crew. We want to come out and go fishing with you. We're going to let you decide what we catch, but when is the time we should come see you, Matt?
Anytime. We just need to line up a date. Fishing's good any time of the year.
All right. There are also going to be some dates that I'm going to send you. We're going to go to my house in the Bahamas, and I'm going to treat you guys to some saltwater fishing over there. Does that sound fun?
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right, bub. I got to pick them. It looks like it's going to be sometime in January. It'll get you guys out of that cool weather, but you don't get too much down there in the lower end. But thank you so much for this year, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh region hotspots. He says Falcon Lake, white bass are surface schooling all over the lower part of the lake. Look for the flocks of gulls diving after the shad. The white bass are pushing the baits to the surface, and they will lead you to the fish. Crankbaits, spoons, and most any shad imitation will lead to easy limits.
Well, boys, here it is. The
Boom,
end of
what
our
was that?
season.
That was your season.
Oh,
It's over.
It's over, but it's not over because we'll be back next year, 2020. Thank you all for tuning in, being our fans. Make sure to tune in to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We're going to be doing lots of stuff in the off season, hunting, fishing, everything in between. Thank you again. We love you guys. Happy fishing and happy holidays.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
We're signing off.
Thank you so much.
All the
Happy
future holidays. Future holidays. Everything is happening.
She's already in the fall mode.
Hey guys, Brie here with the Texas Insider Fishing Report. If you like what you saw and want to see more, click the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and comment below for everything fishing in Texas.